When Fela Anikulapo Kuti returned to Nigeria in the late 1960s, he was no longer just a musician. He was a man with a mission. He had seen the fire of black power in America. He had seen how music could move not only hips, but also hearts and nations. And now, he was ready to bring that fire home. But Nigeria at that time was a storm. The country had just come out of a brutal civil war. Poverty was everywhere, corruption was rising, and the military government ruled with iron fists. Ordinary people were struggling, and fear was the air they breathed. Fela looked at this and said, "I will not just play music, I will create a world where freedom lives." And so, he founded what would become one of the most radical symbols of rebellion in Africa, the Kalakuta Republic. Kalakuta was more than just a house. It was a community, a home, a recording studio, a stage, and a revolution rolled into one. Fela declared it independent from Nigeria itself. Inside its gates, the rules of the outside world did not apply. People called it crazy, but to many, it was a sanctuary. Musicians lived there. Dancers lived there. Activists, dreamers, wanderers, anyone seeking freedom found a place inside Kalakuta. The walls were painted with murals of African heroes, Malcolm X, Kwame Nkrumah, and Patrice Lumumba. The air was filled with the constant rhythm of drums, horns, and laughter. Fela would wake up, light his saxophone like a torch, and begin long rehearsals with his band. They practiced for hours, creating hypnotic rhythms that could last 20 minutes or more. His music was not background noise, it was an unending river of energy that carried truth in every beat. He also introduced his controversial lifestyle. Fela was bold about love, freedom, and marriage. In 1978, he shocked the whole nation when he married 27 women in a single day, dancers and singers from his band, the Kalakuta Queens. The government and the press mocked him. But Fela did not care. To him, it was an act of unity, a declaration that his art and his life were inseparable. But Kalakuta was not just about music and love. It was also about resistance. Fela built a recording studio right inside, where he produced song after song, each one sharper than the last. His lyrics mocked politicians, exposed corruption, and gave courage to the oppressed. His compound became a magnet for young Nigerians hungry for change. Imagine it, in the middle of Lagos, a place where soldiers ruled the streets with guns, there was one compound where music thundered all night, where people danced without fear, where truth was spoken boldly through speakers. That was Kalakuta. Of course, the government could not stand this. They saw Kalakuta as a threat, a disease of rebellion that was spreading too fast. Soldiers began to watch the compound. Raids started. Arrests followed. Newspapers called Fela dangerous. But the more they attacked, the louder his music became. Kalakuta was more than a building. It was a spirit. A republic of freedom, standing tall inside a nation of silence. But the military was not finished. The day was coming when they would no longer watch from the outside. They would invade Kalakuta with fire, with fists, and with fury. And that day would become one of the darkest, and most defining, moments in Fela Kuti's life. What happened when the soldiers stormed Kalakuta? What did they destroy, and what did they fail to kill? That story continues in episode 3, Clash with the Government. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, so you won't miss the next episode.